The maze is twisting, you're all twisting. Do you plan to see what you're missing? The sound of a bell from a tiny adventurer signals a new beginning.
Hello, I'm Starlight Flux. I'm Skybound. And yeah, we just finished watching the second episode of Boku no Hero Academia, or My Hero Academia as it is in English. And yeah, as usual, you can find the link to the reaction in the link below. Yeah. So if you do want to watch us react to that, by all means. Yeah. Otherwise, this is our review. So let's just jump right into it. Do you want to start or shall I?
You start.
Okay, so as usual, we've got our dear Nepgeardum here, and yeah, let's begin. So, episode 2, what happened? Well, it pretty much ended off where episode 1 ended, where you've got Izuku. I hope I got that name right. I'm still getting used to this, guys. Asking All Might if he can become a hero, and then All Might turns into like the skinniest stoner looking guy ever. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that All Might is actually kind of like a he's got like this massive injury to the side of his body. I think he mentioned that he had like one of his like half of his respiratory system, which is pretty brutal, and his stomach just completely taken out. Mm. So it's a miracle he's alive in the first place, to be perfectly honest, but hey, science. But yeah, so he ends up sort of telling Izuku his story, or at least part of his story, about, you know, why he continues to be a hero even with these crippling injuries. And he also tells Izuku that he probably isn't really cut out to be a hero without any quirks. He kind of does say that to him, and to be fair, at that point, you know,
it kind of made sense.
Yeah, and I'm sure it still would have stung, but yeah. Meanwhile, while they've been, you know, chatting up on the top of that building, the green goo Mountain Dew monster has been released from.
We're just going to call it the Mountain Dew monster now.
I mean, it's going to be either that or the smooze, or
oh god, the smooze.
I mean, it's got to be something, doesn't it?
Oh my god, it was like the smooze.
But
some respect,
But yeah, So that thing gets released from its Mountain Dew bottle, and it captures Kachan. Or Katsuki. Again, we'll be a bit dodgy with names to start off with. But yeah, they capture him, and he ends up, you know, sort of getting kind of swallowed by this huge goo monster. And yeah, meanwhile, All Might doesn't have all that much might, because he's kind of used up all his magical hero power. You know, his special points, his SP ran out, and you know, he can no longer go into full HDD mode. Neptune reference, what up? But the thing is, it was interesting, because then we sort of see this conflict with him where he's like, he wants to help, he wants to save Kachan from the smooze thing, but he isn't really able to summon the strength to become All Might because of his injury. Obviously, he's already used his magical hero power for today. I think it was mentioned he had about 3 hours worth of magical hero power before he just couldn't really do it anymore. Yeah. And then Izuku comes to the same sort of place, like gathers the same place where the big sort of smooze monster is still destroying everything, basically, causing massive amounts of damage. You know, you got to wonder how high the tax rate is in Japan at this point.
I imagine it would be quite high, actually.
But yeah, essentially, he's watching as Kachan is basically being absorbed by this monster, until he just kind of goes, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna run in there, and who knows what the hell he was planning, to be honest. I think he acted more without thinking.
Yeah, he was out of instinct sort of thing.
You know, he runs into the middle of the fight, throws his backpack at the thing's eye to make it flinch, which would make me flinch personally as well. And he tries desperately to dig Kachan out of the smoozy prison that he is currently in. He is currently quite restrained in. Much to his displeasure, because of course he wants to be the hero. He doesn't want to be saved by some quirkless nobody, basically. So he's pretty pissed off at the fact that he's saving him. And that kind of strength of mind, that kind of makes All Might go, wait, what the fuck am I doing? You know, he's completely quirkless, and he's just ran into the middle of this fight with no way to defend himself. So he manages to summon the strength to become big, superpowered, super buff, Captain America type guy, and basically the Smooze is defeated, put in bin bags and taken to the police, who will somehow restrain him, I guess. I mean, they still haven't covered how the prisons work in Japan to keep all these monsters in, but I'm sure they have some special defense to stop it. And then pretty much the most important thing happens after that, where, you know, Izuku is heading home. He couldn't really sort of say thanks to All Might for saving him, for protecting him and all that sort of stuff. And on his way home, you know, there's Kachan who goes, yeah, it's not like I wanted you to save me, Baka. And then he goes off and, you know, continues to be tsundere, you know, beautiful, and then All Might just bursts out of nowhere and goes, mate, you can be a hero, and yeah, and then we sort of end on that. And to be honest, it was nice to watch. I mean, it's interesting how much they're kind of establishing just in these 2 episodes. Obviously, we've sort of seen already that Mizuku is, you know, he's getting bullied a lot. He doesn't have any real special powers to speak of, or at least none that have really revealed themselves so far. But he's still, despite that, kind of had this desire, I suppose, to save this guy, even though he's a complete prick, and, you know, he's
and possibly a future
antagonist, I would say. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, you know. But he's definitely got more of the hero mindset than Kachan does, because with Kachan it was more like, you know, I'm going to be the best hero ever. You know, you're useless. You've got no quirks. You know, you're stupid and pointless and nobody. You know, he didn't really have the hero mentality, whereas Izuku, despite having no special power whatsoever to speak of, he was still running into the sort of fight to try and save someone who really he doesn't have any real
reason to do so.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, all he's ever been to him is a dick. So it's like, but then at the same time you're thinking, oh, but then that kind of makes you think, if you had the power to, you know, save someone that you hated from almost certain death, would you do it? Yes or no? And that might be quite an advanced question, to be honest. That might be a question that makes you go, would I? Because you might hate that person, but realistically, do you want them to die? And that's another thing that kind of struck me about this. It's that he wasn't thinking, you know, this person was horrible to me, fuck him. He was thinking, this person's in danger, regardless of who he is, this person's in danger, I'm going to try and save him. Which is definitely more of a hero mentality than Kachan has displayed so far, and who knows what will come of that. But yeah, I'd say I really enjoyed the episode, and again, it was another brilliant addition, sort of a brilliant follow-up to the pilot episode that we've just watched as well. I look forward to seeing what the future holds for this series, and I hope that it continues to sort of surprise me, to make me feel feels, and to just to genuinely be a great show, which as I've stated in my last commentary, I think it will be, because I've already heard so much praise about this show. With that said and done,
Yep. Finally. Well, I mean, to start off with, it's a very good follow-up from the first episode. It's sort of it's interesting to see that this guy does have a more hero-like mentality than the guy he saved. I mean, I'm trying to get the names of.
Katsuki. That's it, Katsuki. We will get this memorised eventually.
Essentially, what I'm saying is, he's got the right mentality, even though he hasn't got the physical skills. What I found interesting, however, is we actually did go back and look at that thing that I mentioned. I noticed something in one of the books he had, one of these books where he's writing down all these quirks and things like that, and it seems like he's been thinking about the strategy of how to deal with these sort of supervillains, and he was talking about how to surprise them.
He'd actually analysed a lot of the heroes. So what he'd been doing is, throughout in his notebook, he'd been scribbling down abilities of the different heroes.
Well, the abilities of the different heroes, and also how to essentially fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that comes into, the strategy side of things. Like, it could be that he has a really good memory, and that could be, I suppose, a hidden quirk. But it may not be. But anyway, it seems like this has been a good episode. It's interesting how much lore they've managed to establish within only 2 episodes. That is quite a...
it's quite impressive.
Yeah, it's quite impressive how they managed to do that. And as far as the actual, it's interesting to see how the main, top hero, it's interesting to see how he's valuable as well. The fact that he's got his own flaws and insecurities. And by seeing this person without any quirks go out his way to try and save this person regardless of having no quirk, it inspired him, of all people, to go and say, you know what, if this person who's in a worse situation than me is trying to make the best of their life, then what the hell am I doing, feeling sorry for myself? So that's basically the lesson I got from it. And I think as far as a score comes from it, as far as a score would be, I'd say again, an 8.
I was actually going to say exactly the same thing for the score. Again, I'd give this an 8. I think there's definitely got to be a bit of a buffer zone, but so far I'm amazed by the quality of just these first 2 episodes.
Yeah, because that normally doesn't happen with a lot of pilot series. I mean, a lot of series get better as they go along, but after the first pilots, you don't expect the pilots to be good. It's where they're basically learning the ground, but with this sort of thing, it seems like they are.
I mean, in a way, I suppose it does make sense that the pilots would be good in the case of an anime, in the event, well, at least in an anime like this, because I'm pretty sure it started out as a manga or something like that.
Oh, right, so
which means that they already had the story established. It was just how the animation studio that was going to be animating it would handle it, and I would say the animation studio that did handle it, which I haven't actually looked up, has actually handled it really well. In fact, I can't think of anyone who could really sort of handle it better from what I've seen so far. They've captured the emotion, they've captured the kind of
the feels.
Yeah, they've captured what I would guess would be the source material. Of course, I haven't read the source material, so that's just me speaking out my arse right now. But
I'm sure we get corrected on that in the comments.
But yeah, anyway, I think we've rambled on long enough as usual. So if you enjoyed our review, as always, leave a little like, comment, whatever you want.
And if you like our content, well, subscribe and press the bell button, because YouTube has a really rubbish UI that doesn't work with it unless you press that bell button.
Yep, so apart from that, as usual, I'm Skybound.
Starlight Flux.
And we will see you for the next episode. Goodbye.
Here